We're starting the show. Thank you. It seems extra bright right now, like brighter than normal, so I really can't see anything. Y'all could all be flipping me off right now. I have no idea. Okay, welcome to Grown Up Storytime. This is Grown Up Storytime 183. Yay! Do we have any first-timers? I can't see, you have to applaud. Yay, welcome. We hope you like it and come again. Okay, so the way that Grown Up Storytime works is that people send us stories, and then we pick through them and pick the best ones. We edit them with those people, the writers, and then we assign those stories to someone else. So that's what you're going to see tonight, is someone else coming up here to perform someone else's story that they've been working on for a few days. So this show doesn't happen without all of those elements. So if you find yourself inspired to write a story, please do. And also, if you think you need a little help with that story, that's what we're here for, and we really like it. So you can send us even just like an idea you have or a draft you've been working on, or sometimes we do workshops. I don't know when one is coming up soon, but sometimes it happens. But we really do. The point is that we really do like working on these stories with you. So send us an email. It's on the back of the program, and no, it's only on this side of the program. But that's what the email is. Send us a story. That's also where you can get in touch with us if you want to become a performer. And the other thing that you can do if you want to be a performer is every first Tuesday of the month, we host what we call reading parties. So that's when we get together and we read through all of the submissions that have been sent in. It's really useful for us because, as you can see, this is an event where the story gets read aloud on stage, so we really need to hear it read aloud. But that's also where you can come and show us that you know how to read in front of people if you want to become a reader here. So that's really kind of the only requirement. We just need to know that you can read in front of other people. And so if you're interested in that, you can come talk to us. I'm Emily. Where's Blair? You'll see Blair's over here. She's reading tonight. Amanda is right here. She's reading tonight too. Jon is our other producer. He's in the back and also reading tonight. It's a wild night. But you can come and talk to any one of us, and we can sort of like get you into that system. We're trying to get rid of our merch, so like make us an offer or just take it. We have shirts in many sizes and totes and some stickers. Please take it from us. We want to get new merch. Okay, this is a live event, so if you feel like you need to talk, don't do that here. You can go out back this way. There's a whole patio for your enjoyment. That's also where the bathrooms are, is back that way. So if someone calls you, you need to pick it up, or you hate the show and you want to talk shit with your friend about it, go out that way and do it. Don't do it right here. You can, however, during the show, go up to the bar, and please do. Be nice to the bartender, tip them very well, because they're here enjoying the show with us and serving us. So let's just give them a big round of applause right now, too. Thank you for being here with us. I normally don't do this by myself, but I think I got it all. Did I? Merch. I said merch. Thank you, though. What? Oh, yeah, okay, so we all know there's been terrible, catastrophic flooding happening. We put a QR code on the back that links to the Central Texas Community Foundation for giving of dollars, which we fully support rather than giving of goods, especially right now that crisis mode is still happening, but y'all know what I mean. Let's give some money and help. You can scan this, it'll take you there. And I think that's it. Let's start the show, yeah? Okay. We're very excited. Cris Skelton is here to host. He doesn't live here anymore. Yeah, it's really special that he's here, so come on up, Cris.
Yeah, USA. Wait, no. Hi, everyone. It is honestly wonderful to be here in this room with all of y'all here. I don't get to make it out to Houston that much anymore. And, also, usually Grown Up Storytime hosts have bits that they try to do on you as, sort of a security blanket, just to be like, maybe if I can cling to this bit, then everything will be okay and I won't be hated. But I'm not doing that tonight. I'm going bitless because I couldn't think of one. So yeah, I'm just gonna love bomb it up tonight. We're gonna do it up nice. I'm gonna just love bomb you all, and not in like a toxic way, just in like a normal love bomb you way. Like, look at you got like a cool scarf on. I think that's the scarf. Is that a scarf? Hell yeah! Give it up for this person's scarf. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, this rules. I'm glad we're all here. I live in California now, like Southern California, and like they don't know about like Don't California My Texas. They literally, I went and saw a movie, and my girlfriend was like, "Oh, that's a funny shirt," and I'm like, "That's real," and she was like, "No fucking way," and I was like, "No fucking way." You know, and it's good to see like some of the places that are like the same, but like have evolved. Like I saw my sister the other day, and she is like absolutely like she's training for a triathlon, so she's like freaking jacked now, and like kind of scares me. And I was talking, and I was like, man, my sister's built like a brick shit house now. And my friend back in California was like, and that's a good. Does that mean she's muscular? What does that mean? And I was like, oh fuck, it's the tech. I'd see, and I didn't think I was very Texan, but look at it. Anyway, we're gonna get this party started. Our first story is called What Boundaries? And it's written by the wonderful writer Lynn Ouellette, and it is read by the incomparable Blair Ault. Give it up.
The mic stand demonstration. While I'm up here, for our readers or future readers, you wanna righty-tighty, lefty-loosey on this thing? Oh, yep, there you go. Oh, this one's strong. Yeah, and definitely want the microphone in your face. Great, okay. When I graduated high school back in 1987, did I want a party, cruise, family trip? Oh no. I craved escape after surviving the social labyrinth of teenagehood meets public school. I begged for a hiking trip. My dad found something called Outward Bound, and living in Minneapolis, Minnesota, he chose the closest one in the Boundary Waters canoe area that borders Canada. Holy shit, was that place pristine. Back then, you literally could drink out of the lakes. Just scoop with a metal camping mug and voila, hydration. A rustic frontier to explore. Thank you, I told my dad and got to packing. I was so excited for 2 weeks of freedom from civilization before dealing with the transition to college. Nature felt accepting and interactive, minus the social gymnastics to fit or navigate. Let's go. Upon arrival, lo and behold, the first thing the Outward Bound folks explained was we would be staying at base camp for team building the first few days. What? Teams? I fussed inside my head. The counselors emphasized, this is serious, rugged terrain. No hospitals, no phones. Remember, this is 1987 and cell phones didn't exist. Okay. Just us. We gotta be ready to rely on each other out there. Teen me was like, okay, I get it, but like new people stuff already. Like, okay, here we go. When they rounded us up that morning, here's who appeared in our circle. A 30-year-old Charlie Sheen looking heartthrob. A 6-foot Norwegian looking girl of 28, a rustic model material for sure. A 6'1", 20-year-old wearing thick glasses who loved hunting. A 5'2", I don't know why I think I'm doing my heights here. A 5'2", muscular 35-year-old woman and with lots of camping experience, sporting sturdy hiking boots. A 45-year-old man, strong and skilled from being a nurse. And then there was 17-year-old me, 110 pounds on a heavy day, 5'5", and despite biking, running, and cross-country skiing a lot, my German, Scottish DNA did not allow muscle definition to show up. I was mighty and passionate, inside, but the team would be bound together in the wild. Did they fear this little girl was useless? Well, turns out there was no time to overthink it. We dove straight into icebreakers on steroids. First, we donned wetsuits for kayaking, and those were so goofy to squeeze into, it definitely broke the ice. With some finagling and laughs, we paddled and even got our rigs to spin around. After lunch, we headed out for rock climbing, and here my vertigo for heights seeped out. I whimpered, shook, needed tips, but no way was I giving up. They say courage is doing something despite being scared, so perhaps the team saw bravery? After the victory dance at the top, we rappelled back down by letting out rope and gliding backwards. You would think that this would scare me, but it was a blast. And the next day, our pair of, The next day, our pair of pro counselors showed us our route, then treated us to the mud pit hike. Oh, I wish everyone could do this at least once in their life. Hiking to the pit was hot and sweaty, trudging and swimming. Yes, I went all the way under the mud. Felt refreshing, cool, messy, like a big cozy blanket, hugging every bit of my body. Glorious. Everyone on our team got into it and looked hilarious. And after all that, the group felt at ease. How can you be stressed when everyone on your team loves to dig into gritty stuff like that? The next day was backpack prep and first aid training, and all morning we rolled, tucked, inserted essentials. We packed light and tight because we had to carry canoes and food packs too. Afternoon was first aid training, and that evening, all the groups at base camp gathered for mock emergency roundup. Counselors posed as injured parties at stations. The challenge was to see which group could pass all the scenarios first. Before the games began, the lead counselor hyped up one more time. This is your team. They will be depending on you. It's essential you know how to react to emergencies. Then, pow, the drills began. Our team operated smoothly through the set a broken leg, treat heat stroke, water rescue. Next station was man down. And here the person was unconscious, not breathing. By this time, my little heart was ramped up by the hype, team bonding. My active imagination decided, I gotta save her life. Somebody go get help. I yelled and I whispered the trained way to deal with this to be sure I did it right. 1987 style. 1 breath, 3 presses. 1 breath, 3 presses. I put my hands on her sternum in the proper interlocking position, kneeled down efficiently, pinched her nose, tilted her head back, check, check, check. Sealed my lips onto hers. Yes, you heard me. Lips to lips, no holding back on this chick. I pushed my life-saving breath into her mouth. And yes, she reacted quite as you would expect. She jerked upright, eyes humongous. What are you doing? She, wiping her mouth, gasped. This is just a drill. Cheeks red hot, now back in reality. I cried. I'm so sorry. Are you okay? Most embarrassing moment material, definitely. I waited a moment that felt like an eternity. Would this crew hate me now? Think I'm crazy? Kick me out? And after the eternal moment, the counselor shook her head, paused, and chuckled. Well, you certainly take this seriously. Your team passes. Please just remember to check the pulse the next time. My crew laughed and gathered around. I apologized, but they said, it's okay. At least we know you'll have our backs. The heartthrob slapped me on the back, and we moved along. Tomorrow, it was time to hit the trail. And what a relief. My passion was seen as caring, my intensity as focus, my body as useful, and my embarrassing, boundless imagination taken in stride. Wow, this is when I knew the trip was going to go well. And it did. We worked hard and relaxed. We're quiet and loud, together and alone. Everyone helped, and everyone needed help along the way. What a great experience before heading into college. A new frontier. Thank you.
Keep it going for Blair. Yeah, keep it going for Blair. It's amazing. God, I don't think I could do that. So good on you, Lynn, for choosing that as like a fun thing to do. I also that's the thing when I was saying my sister is training for a freaking triathlon, and I'm like, there's no muscle under this. This is all just fun times and loves, Speaking of which, there's seats right here up in front if you want to get in there. I don't pick on people. I don't really believe in that kind of crap. So if you want to just, if you got somewhere you want to sit and you want to sit up here, you should totally do that. Oh, your shirt is amazing. Hell yeah, give it up for this person's shirt. Amazing. See, that's all I'm going to do. I'm just going to count things. I'm just going to give you style big ups, apparently. I guess that'll be my bit tonight. Let me see if my style is, oh my God, I've got it in the slut position. Oh my, we'll roll with it. That's all right. All right, we're going to move right along here. This next story is written by the awesome Rivkah French. It's called Life in 5 Words. And it is read, actually, by the amazing and wonderful Amanda Shee. Give it up for Amanda.
Hello, everyone. I just realized this is my first time up here in my contacts, and I'm not sure they're good enough. I don't know. So let's see how this goes. My life in 5 words. Here's a fun exercise. Try to describe your life in 5 words. And you can't say, Phoenix rising from the ashes. That's cheesy AF. My first response to this question is, bitches better have my money. But I'm not that cool. A more honest summary is, destined for greatness, just weirdness. Or maybe it's the question that's plagued me and most of humanity since the beginning. Who's running this universe anyway? Or comforting, inspiring thought like, we're all in this together. Or trees have all the answers. But my hips don't lie. Mainly here for the donuts. Or I want to see this stitched on a pillow. Love, laugh, love, lick lesbians. And if I want to end it all, only thing worse is death. Or art makes this worth it. But the one description that really keeps me going is, I'm not finished until I...
Wait, I don't understand. Was there more to that, or was it? I don't get. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Wait a minute. No. That's wonderful. I do really believe that if nothing else, you should just believe in art. I think art gets me through pretty much everything. Like, hit by a bus, you just make art about it. Whatever. Just like make. I realized that whenever I'm not like doing something creative, I'm like actually like sad. And I don't remember why. Like I wake up, I'm like, why am I so angry? And I was like, well, when was the last time you wrote a grown-up storytime story? I was like, good point. Speaking of which, who wrote the next one? Shiv O'Rourke wrote the next one, and it's called Dirty Work. And it is going to be read by the awesome and amazing and wonderful Jonelle Walker. Give it up for Jonelle.
sitting in the closet of the corporate headquarters of a private equity-backed fintech company. Literally. Sitting on a bank box, surrounded by a dozen more bank boxes and half a dozen backpacks, all filled with the personal effects of the man who had just been fired. The CEO. My boss. The one who had hired me. It wasn't a metaphorical closet. It was a literal supply closet. Cables, toner cartridges, unopened monitors stacked like tombstones of middle management past. And me, a 40-something woman in heels, now tasked with sorting through his entire executive life like I was Marie Kondoing a career that just got torched. You want to talk about dirt? Try digging through a billionaire's duffel bag to figure out what belonged to him and what was just corporate detritus. A Rolex in one pouch, protein bars in another, loose cash, prescription pills, a folder labeled FMLA, a handwritten letter from his daughter, and then, worse, letters to his wife about the affairs, letters to his life coach, notes about hotel rooms and half-kept promises, the kind of stuff you wouldn't want your kids to find when a box landed on the porch like a surprise package from Satan's Etsy shop. At one point, I pulled out a pair of beat-up sneakers and thought, these shoes have seen more honest days than this entire company. But before the boxes, before the closet, there was the day it actually happened. They flew him to New York on a round-trip ticket without telling him why. Like, welcome aboard! Please enjoy your complimentary beverage and corporate execution. I knew it wasn't going to be a long meeting, so I booked a car to meet him at LaGuardia, wait outside the building, and take him straight back to the airport. Because even though nobody said it out loud, I knew. When he called me from the car, his voice was so eerily calm, I almost didn't recognize it. And when he got back in the limo afterward, I was the first person he spoke to. And for that, giving a man the dignity of a ride that didn't involve begging a taxi driver with a banker's box on his knees, I got in trouble. Apparently, compassion is a line item that needs pre-approval. Because when a PE firm cleans house, it doesn't send in a cleaning crew, it sends in the assistant. And then came the aftermath, the part nobody wants to think about, the cleanup. That's how I ended up in the closet, sorting through the collateral damage, trying to decide whether a framed Gordie Howe jersey belonged in personal effects or potential evidence. Trying to figure out if a folder of hotel receipts was tax paperwork or just a cautionary tale. I wasn't just his assistant. I was the keeper of his calendar, the filter for his rage, the silent witness to a man unraveling in real time. And I knew things. Things that didn't show up in earnings reports, like how he'd call his kids from the office and put on a voice so gentle it gave me whiplash, like he was auditioning for Dad of the Year while I pretended not to be sitting 3 feet away. Like how he'd disappear for days and I'd lie to the board, the staff, his wife, sometimes all three in the same hour. Like the way I always knew things I wasn't technically supposed to know, but did anyway. Or the way he once told me, "You're not like the others. You're one of us." Which, spoiler alert, was a lie. Because in the end, when he was gone and nobody else had the stomach to deal with the fallout, guess who they called? Me, the assistant, the last one standing. And that's when I realized something. Sometimes the dirtiest work doesn't look like crime or scandal. It looks like loyalty. It looks like silence. It looks like sitting in a corporate closet, holding someone else's secrets and wondering, at what point did I start mistaking proximity for power? Thank you.
Woo, keep it going for Jonelle. That was amazing. That was awesome. Whew. Gotta love leaving a paper trail, you know? Like, everybody should endeavor to just, like, my guilty conscience will go onto the paper, and that way it'll be gone, right? Check out my cool tote bag. I got it right there. You just go get it. It's got a clown girl peeing on the floor, and it says every third Tuesday of the month. So you can pee on the floor every third Tuesday of the month. What? Oh, what? Oh, sorry. I don't know. I've been gone for like a year and a half. I didn't know if like things changed or not. No. But yeah, come get them. They're absolutely amazing. This is the other one that says, "Fuck kindness, I'd rather die," which, you know, I guess I can get behind. Just kidding. You are awesome. I don't know. I don't have a reason why. You're just awesome. Give yourself a hand. Yeah. Amazing. I can't think of it. See, this is why you don't come with bits. You got to come with bits so that you can become the star of the show every once in a while. Instead, I'm just going to come up here and faff about. And speaking of not faffing about, I have the next story right here. It's called "Only Once Have I Commissioned a Painting," and it is written by the amazing Joe Wozny, and it is read by my new friend Jon Abad. Give it up for Jon.
From the shadows. Only once have I commissioned a painting. It was of our dog, now deceased, and when I thought of the idea, I could not contain my excitement. For Christmas, I would get Emily, my wife, a real-life oil painting of our dog, Abby. What a stupid, brilliant idea. I felt so smart and clever. I went on paintyourpet.com or some website with a similar stupid name and browsed through the artists. I examined their portfolios carefully, trying to choose which one had the right style to render a magnificent portrait of Abby. Most of it was corny, but that is to be expected from a website called paintyourpet.com. Finally, I found Henry. His style was classic, romantic, not at all photorealistic, which I dislike. He used thick brush strokes. His portraits looked real, but not too real. Henry was my guy. I paid way too much money and sent him a picture of Abby, in which her head was wrapped in a bath towel that had a pattern of anchors on it. Dogs look cute when you wrap shawls around their heads. The background of the photo was very plain, just our boring apartment walls, but Henry had the good idea to recommend a stunning backdrop. Rays of light came down from heaven onto Abby in some kind of ethereal, soft-focused forest. She looked like a saint. Henry had read my desire like the true artist he is and rendered Abby as a sublime object. PaintYourPet.com gives you one free revision. Henry sent me his proof of Abby in the forest, illuminated by the majesty of God, but the towel around her head still had anchors on it. This distracted from the saint-like quality of the painting, so I had to make the towel blue to make it a proper shawl. With that, the masterpiece was done. When the painting came, I had to keep it hidden under the couch. I felt insane. Emily had no idea what an amazing gift was lurking in a cardboard box beneath the couch. I felt like Caligula, who could not contain his excitement at the coming of his incest child and had to rip this baby out of his sister's womb with a sword because he could not wait to see what a glorious child was in there. On Christmas Day, we showed it to Abby. I do not think she understood that it was her in the painting, which is unfortunate. But I think Emily liked it, which is important, since it was a gift for her, after all. Not a gift for me. Not a gift to prove my own cleverness. Definitely not that. It was fun to show the portrait off to people when they came over. Look what I did. I got an oil painting of my dog made where she looks like a saint. Not like those other idiots who paid for photorealistic portraits of them hugging their dogs. What's the point in that? Just frame the photo. Anyways, I'm glad to have this painting. I thought of this because I read a very short story about a woman who keeps finding dog hairs in her home and how the family keeps them because they want something to remember them by. I am thankful I don't have to think like that because I have a magnificent oil painting of Abby. I don't have to be weird and sad about dog hairs. If I was rich, I would have Henry paint all my pets and friends and family, but then this painting would not be the only painting I have commissioned. It would not be special, so maybe it is good not to be rich. I have also heard that it's hard to enter the kingdom of heaven. You have to ride a camel and go through a needle, which would be a great thing for Henry to paint.
Hell yeah, good for John. And good for Joe. I have laid eyes on that painting. It is honestly, truly a work of art. And not like in the, like, well, yeah, it's a painting. All paintings are, no. It is a work of true art. And what a good idea. What a good idea, Joe. Give yourself a round of applause. There you go. There you go. Are we doing all right? We feeling good? We having it good? Good? Excellent. I found this note on my phone because I was just thinking about how awesome Grown Up Storytime is. I've been coming to Grown Up Storytime since 2010, which is weird to think that I've been alive longer than, however long that is. And I just realized there's all this list of, stories I never wrote, and I don't know what half of them mean anymore. One is just called The Year of Surprise Parties. That could be cool. That's a good idea if you got one of those. The Four Loko Night. I think only one person here might know what that means. I don't really remember what that means. My mom was poisoned by Cece's Pizza, and then we went there on 9/11. I might write that one, actually. That's a really good one. That's a really, you know what? I'm going to write that one next. That's what's going to happen. I'm going to go home all the way across the country, and I'm going to sit down and be, what are you doing? You writing your next screenplay? No. I'm writing a Grown Up Storytime story. All right. Man, all right. Our next one is a really awesome story. It's written by Andrew Kozma. Give it up for Andrew. He's a longtime writer. And I wonder what this is about. It's just called Just Tell Everyone You're Canadian. And it's read by my good friend and yours, Mr. Austin Sepulvado.
I arrived in Greece at the end of my first trip to Europe on my own. I'd been as a child in that my dad was in the Air Force and we were stationed in Frankfurt, Germany. But I don't have a ton of memories from that time. More importantly, I didn't have any agency, any decision-making power. Little 8-year-old me couldn't decide to have just one more drink or stay out past my bedtime. To get to Greece, I had to take a ferry from the heel end of Italy. While waiting, I met a bunch of other travelers, some Australians who'd been traveling from country to country, picking whatever crops needed picking, Canadians touring the world, a few other Americans like myself, doing what Americans tend to do, go where they want to without regard for whether they're wanted or not. I'm lying. I was wanted, or at least I would be when I reached Athens, where I was meeting up with a girl from Greece. All I had to do was get there. Getting there took a day and a half on a ferry. It was the off-season, so no one was on the ferry except us 10 or so travelers, even though the ship could have held a few hundred. I talked with the other travelers, and we talked about where we'd been, how long we'd been away from home, and what we had to go back to. I'd been back to Frankfurt, where I'd driven drunk, Cologne, where I'd hung out with an old nun, Paris, where I'd climbed a wall to escape a house I'd been locked inside of, Geneva, where I stayed in a farmhouse with 2 feet thick walls, Amsterdam, where I didn't smoke pot, I swear. Barcelona, where I got lost with my brother. I'd been away from home for 3 weeks, and it already felt like forever. And I had nothing to go back to. Nothing pressing. Could stay out here forever. The ferry docked, and we took a train into Athens, staying together the entire way, our tiny band of traveling foreigners. As we approached Athens, news started trickling in. This was back in 2000, and I didn't have a cell phone, so it was easy to let the news bounce off of me. Y2K had already been foiled, so what was the worst that could happen? But we were told that something big was happening in Athens. Specifically, the president was visiting. William Jefferson Clinton, the big dog. God, I feel dirty even saying that. Anyway, Clinton was coming. There would be street closures, a parade. Athens was going to be locked up for a bit as if it was Eurovision. We checked into a youth hostel and went out to see what Athens nightlife was like. By which I mean get drinks at a cafe, maybe food, live it up. This is when I first had Ritsina. Ritsina is a Greek-specific wine that I was told when I tried to order it I wouldn't like because non-Greeks generally hate it. What is Ritsina? It is white wine that is infused with or mixed with or otherwise bastardized with pine sap. It tastes like pine needles. It tastes like a forest smells if that smell was turned into goo first. It was a strong flavor. It's off-putting. I love it. So, a guy tells us at cafe, you're American, right? You should really tell people you're Canadian. People are angry. I drank my Retsina. It didn't taste like anger. Look, I've never been overly proud of being American. I've also never really felt the need to lie about things. But when someone in a foreign country advises you to disavow your nationality for your own good, well, you do you, but I did I, and we did we, and we were Canadian if anyone asked. The thing was that the president was coming into town. The thing was there had been a long struggle between Greece and Turkey over the island nation of Cyprus. The thing was that the U.S. had just sided with Turkey on the issue of Cyprus, and there was going to be a protest, and in that protest, the anarchists would show up and start destroying shit, because that's apparently how it always went. Nothing against anarchists. Anarchists are great. Greek anarchists like fire and destruction, and really, who doesn't? When the girl I was waiting for showed up, I moved from the hostel into a hotel. The day of the president's visit, we did the touristy things. We walked through the Agora. We climbed the Acropolis and looked at the ruins of the Parthenon. You could see where the British had cut out the Elgin marbles that they wanted for themselves, just ripping them straight from the Parthenon. If it hadn't really been ruined before, it sure was after they were done. On the way back to our hotel, we stopped by another cafe for a drink and to rest our legs. All the customers inside were watching the television. And on the television, we could see burning cars. People pulled an ATM from the wall of a bank. Every window on the parade route was shattered. The riot raged 4 blocks away, and no one seemed worried or bothered except us. We drank our drinks and eventually made our way around police tape to get back to our hotel. The next morning after breakfast, we walked the streets where the riot had happened, and every bit of glass was cleaned up. Many of the windows had already been replaced. The gutted cars were gone, and even the heavy corpse of the ATM had been disappeared as if the entire night, all that undirected fury, all that explosive anger, as if it had never happened. No one had ever asked if I was American. I didn't have to tell anyone I was Canadian. It was like none of this was about me after all.
Keep it going, Mr. Austin. That's cool. I've been to Athens. There were no riots at all, and now I feel mad. There should have been a riot when I was there. I would have loved that. Not really. Though what I did find is, because it's like, they have their own brand of Christianity, the famous Greek Orthodox. And, you think, yeah, whatever, it's Christianity. It's doing what it's doing. But, I was walking alongside the street with a priest. I guess he's called a priest. I haven't looked up a Greek Orthodoxy for this bit. I'm sorry. But a guy was just, had a smoothie and a hoodie, and he was walking by, and he saw the priest and just went, you got to do that. So that's something to know if you ever go to Athens. I also had a guy really wanted me to try his Mexican food. And I was like, buddy, you're not going to like what I have to say. Anyway, this story I've been waiting for all night long because it's written by a really great friend of mine. Her name is Alli Villines. And it's called The Tale of Tommy the Traveling Turtle. And it is read by Monica Winston. Give it up for Monica.
In the winter and spring of 2007, I lived in Beckley, West Virginia. I'm from Louisiana, so this was real different. I worked for Theater West Virginia, doing educational theater by day, but by night. And on the weekends, I did my own show, The Ukulele Experience, at local coffee shops. I got in good with the Starbucks there and played regularly. They sold a bit of merch, and I was never into it. But one time, I was playing, and I saw this small, unassuming, and friendly plushie, a turtle, smiling at me. I bartered that instead of my free drink and snack, I get the turtle as payment. I also played for tips, but seeing as I was in my early 20s and in West Virginia, it was really about getting to play and getting a free snack. I took the turtle home with me, but never brought it in. It stayed in my car, and thus it became my traveling companion. One day, I was driving to rehearsal, and I was listening to The Who's Tommy. The turtle was in this little cubby on the console, staring up, smiling at me. "Tommy, can you hear me?" I sang to him, and thus he became Tommy. Tommy and I drove all over West Virginia together, and we drove to Tennessee, and we drove south for a visit home to Louisiana. I always just singing and driving, he always just smiling at me, keeping me company. In the summer of 2007, I stayed with Theater West Virginia and did their summer stock shows. 2 historical dramas about the history of West Virginia and Greece. Whereas my touring troupe was a cast of 6, the summer shows had casts upwards of 25 to 30. I met many new people. One of them became my husband. Louisiana and Arkansas meeting in West Virginia. I didn't know that he would be my husband, though, so let's back up. That summer was very cliquey, as most summer stocks full of early 20-somethings are. I was never a drinker or a stoner, so I had a little difficulty finding new friends. It didn't help that one of the historical dramas was Hatfields and McCoys, so you were thrust together with whomever your stage family was. And I would say that it didn't help that the director of Grease actively pitted the T-Birds and Pink Ladies against everyone else in the cast. But actually it did help, because I was third nerd from the left in the chorus, and my people were my fellow nerds. So I hosted a nerd day at my place. We played board games and watched the 1997 Harlan Williams film Rocket Man, and Jeff, my now husband, made a triple berry pie and asked me out on a date. When Jeff and I started dating, he hated to drive, and still does. And I love to drive, and do not still. So I would always drive. The first time Jeff met Tommy, he asked, "Who's this?" "That's Tommy, my traveling companion." Now, we had at this point learned we were both into Doctor Who. So using the word companion had some deeper meaning. Jeff's reply was, "I want to be your traveling companion." After that, whenever we rode around, going where new couples go, Jeff would put Tommy on his shoulder. The jury was still out for me as to whether Jeff could be a traveling companion like Tommy was, but they got along really well, and both became fixtures in my car. Jeff and I got married on December 30th, 2008, and moved to Virginia. Tommy stayed with us. Now I had 2 smiling, traveling companions. In 2013, Jeff and I made the tough decision to both pursue grad school. I went to Arizona State, and he went to University of Houston. We split in the sense of we moved to 2 different locations, but we were still married, and generally happily so. Tommy traveled with me to Tempe, Arizona, and drove with me to classes, 12-hour days, rehearsals, the music library. At the beginning of my second semester, January 2014, I drove myself and 2 other friends to see West Side Story at the Orpheum Theater in Phoenix. We were driving back to Tempe, belting our faces off to somewhere on I-10 about 11 p.m. at night. A car cut across 4 lanes to make an exit, and there was no way for me to miss them. I braced. That slow motion thing happened where you just know you're gonna crash and it's gonna be bad and can see it all happening. Brake as I may, we crashed at 60 miles an hour. We, all 3 of us in my car, walked away with minor injuries. Front seat friend had airbag burn on his nose. Back seat friend had bruised ribs and cuts from the seatbelt. I sent all of my bracing energy to my grip on the wheel, so my hands and wrists were sort of frozen for weeks. The driver of the other car was fine and awful. But the owner of the car was truly a reprehensible human. When he arrived at the scene, he yelled and cursed at me, said his car was worth more than my life. Forget that his idiot friend caused the whole kerfuffle. My car was towed away to where I still don't know. Totaled. Tommy was in the car. I didn't have the mental capacity to grab him after calling police and dealing with asshole and head people and calling Jeff to let him know what happened. I'd lost my car. I'd lost Tommy. I cried and cried and cried. My other wonderful and thoughtful traveling companion drove from Houston all that night and the next day to Tempe to bring me his car. The plan was he would bike and bus around Houston. He lived fairly close to campus. I did not live close to my campus, and I just needed a car more than he did. I also still enjoyed driving at this point. But what I didn't enjoy was Jeff's car or driving without a companion. I missed Tommy. I had very few days visiting Houston in between my 3rd and final semesters because I was in show mode in between rehearsals and performing, but we still managed to gather around a tree and sing carols and exchange gifts. Jeff presented my gift, and if you are at this point in the story thinking and hoping that the gift was Tommy, my friend, you're right. Jeff knew Tommy's origin story, his 2007 Starbucksiness, and that in 2014, eBay was the place to find weird, wild, off-the-beaten-path treasures. So this Tommy is not the OG, but he is still my Tommy. He doesn't live in my car, it's too hot, and I don't want anything to happen to him. But don't worry, his traveling days aren't over. He does go on rides with me to visit Louisiana, especially if I don't have my other traveling companion with me. I flew to California a couple years ago, and Tommy came too. And I've started bringing him to rehearsals. His sweet, smiling face encourages people as I teach them to sing a song. People love to give him a little squeeze or boop his little face. I do too. I love him. He's a happy, plushy turtle, sits by my Lego plants on my table. He's smiling at me now.
And I've got great news. Tommy is in the building. I seen him. So if you know Alli, you go give Tommy a little boop. He's very cute. He's a very cute turtle. And that story broke my heart a little bit. So thanks, Alli. You know, what it's got me thinking about is just, you know, what I've been thinking about all night long, which is, of course, love. You know, love is rad. You know what I mean? Like, big in favor of love. And I love this place. I love Houston. I love Grown Up Storytime. It is really one of the great joys in life to be here with you all. Like, I got off the plane and my glasses fogged up immediately. And I was like, I'm home. I'm fucking home. I'm fucking, you know, it's like you think, perfect weather is great to have until it just keeps going and then it doesn't become special. And it has been like storming all while I've been here, and I just have been sitting out and be like, look at all that rain. Hell yeah. Fuck yeah. Like, I haven't seen that much. I haven't seen so much rain. I wake up in the morning and my skin is cracked because I live in a desert now. Anyway, we are somehow, see, this is another problem that happens when you don't do bits, is you don't get to like extend the night out and drag it on. You just kind of like get to the point and like keep the ball in the air and make sure everybody's energy is good. So we're unfortunately at the last story. What the fuck? What have I done? And I've only gotten one drink from our boy Jake over there. Give it up for Jake. Y'all go get stuff from him if you can. If you're like an alcoholic, don't do that. But like, go get it from him and tip him well. He uses that money on like real frivolous stuff, like rent and bills. But yeah, no, I've been lucky, I feel, to be here tonight and to be here with all of y'all. It makes me feel really good. And on that note, the last story is called, Houston, I Love You. And it is written by one of my best friends, Blair Ault, who you saw earlier. And it is read by Kirsten Dorrier. Give it up for Kirsten.
I have lived in Houston my whole life, and leaving has become the challenge of a lifetime. I've attempted to move away from Houston at least 3 times. I never tried to leave Houston out of spite. And the generosity of, frankly, most of the people who are here or who have been part of the grown-up Storytime audience keeps Houston feeling like home. I loved growing up here. I love getting older here. And I know that there is an incredible wealth in having many people to care about. I have a habit of naming things and savoring puns, so I came up with the nickname Truestonian, you're welcome, to describe those of us who either never left or who did but then came back. While historically Houston has been made up of more people just passing through than being born here and staying put, I happen to know quite a few Truestonians, as we've found each other, and most are folks who did move away at some point but are now back forever or will return someday. I hope to be one of those people who returns, but first, I have to meaningfully leave. The first time I tried to leave was for college. My mom attended Harvard for law school and bought my plane ticket for us to revisit her glory days in Cambridge while I took a peek at the programs at Boston University. It was a bit of culture shock, if I'm being honest. The East Coast has always been a little bit tricky for my nervous system to navigate. It's not just because I prefer 90 and humid to 40 and frigid, but when you are prone to being inattentive in your surroundings, suddenly being in a place with a lot more stimuli can be pretty dang overwhelming. And I craved the wide open horizons back home. I wasn't mad when the University of Houston's Honors College made it really easy to choose the full ride program, or that I'd not have to say goodbye to my 2 best friends from high school. My first attempt ended before it began earnestly, but I promised myself I'd move anywhere else after college. I got it into my head that living in another city was important for a human to accomplish. Not a single one of my family members is currently living in the town that they grew up in. Most of my ancestors moved away from home at least once, most not to return. I noticed how many stories from antiquity involve people leaving behind the home that they knew in order to explore their humanity. While I may be a sensitive soul, I have a thirst for exploration that I credit both parents for encouraging. I was one of the first kids to get a passport in my elementary school class, and I haven't really gotten better at sitting still since. My second attempt was more earnest. I applied and received a position with Teach for America in 2011. I was absolutely thrilled and then absolutely terrified to find out that I'd have to move to New York City to participate. I remembered cold Boston and had grown quite accustomed to my road trips through Texas sun. I would be going from knowing too many people to knowing maybe 2 people, a couple of friends from college who had already moved up there after graduating. I didn't realize that being homesick could actually make you nauseous, and I had my second ever blackout panic attack, which began to creep in as I picked up my luggage at baggage claim at JFK and made my way to the St. John's dorms. Fortunately, my roommate was cool about me just not leaving our room for the first 24 hours. I just couldn't stop crying. And it was weird because I tried to thrive in New York City. I grew up loving musical theater, and in theory, I should be a hipster intellectual who scarfs her way from coffee shop to apartment with ease, but I prefer coffee shops where my friends work and apartments that don't try to slowly bankrupt me by existing. Turns out, Teach for America has questionable hiring contracts with public departments of education all over this country, and we were told in July that there was a hiring moratorium due to labor struggles with the current teachers' union. With no job to hold on to in New York City, I couldn't snag a lease and asked to be transferred back to Houston, where I accepted a position with Yes Prep within 48 hours of my plane landing at IAH. For a post-recession graduate, I was very happy to have a job with benefits, even if it meant being back where I started. I taught off and on for 7 years. I love being a teacher, although I'm glad I moved on to pursuing a library degree and taking hospitality roles more seriously. Being a teacher, I had long summers off to travel, and I filled all of my available days with as much exploration as possible. I justified the expenses always as the tax against myself for not leaving before I got my first real job, and picked up as many shifts as a bartender to offset the damage of a 3-week trip to Europe. My third attempt to leave was to Seattle. The University of Washington accepted me as an online student at their information school, but encouraged me to become a resident as soon as I was able to make it up there. My stepmom passed away during my first quarter, however, and it didn't feel right to leave either of my parents alone as they were aging and facing more health struggles. I planned to get everything situated so I could be in attendance for the spring quarter of 2020, which began in March. By early February, I knew I wasn't going to be moving to Seattle. The iSchool announced that all of the residential students for spring quarter were going to be online students. Advisors were actively advising to postpone the travel to campus until further notice. The outbreak in the US started there, after all, and Seattle did not play around from the very beginning with pandemic protocols. I couldn't be sad. I instead believed perhaps I was cursed, or perhaps Houston was cursed. Earlier still in 2020, I attended a whiskey festival that changed my life. The Houston Whiskey Social was January 19th, 2020, and by St. Patrick's Day, I had a job working with my current employer, Milam and Green Distillery, except I couldn't really go anywhere except the internet. Y'all know, you were there. One of my first dates with my partner and fellow Trustonian, Austin Sepulvado, I told him I wanted to move out of Houston. One of the many reasons he is my favorite person is that he has always been on board with Operation Get Going for several years. Anytime we would travel somewhere, we'd talk about how livable of a place it might be. The one place never on the table, Austin, the capital of our loneliest star state. I get it. I wouldn't want to live in Blair, Texas. I already have enough cognitive distraction issues to deal with that hearing my name in the context of both a place and a person makes me cranky. But Milam and Green Distillery is located in Blanco, Texas, 45 minutes west from downtown Austin. When I got my promotion to brand manager, I realized there was an obvious opportunity, a necessary push, to bring myself out of Houston and install us where the rest of the people I work closely with also live. What do you do when you have a really awkward question to ask your partner? I take mine to Nancy's Hustle to wow him with flavors before I make life-changing suggestions. If I'm cursed, then Austin, the person, is my good luck charm. My life really has gotten better with him in it. And so I did feel a bit nervous explaining to him why gathering up all of our belongings and pets and having him leave his favoriteest coffee job at Catalina behind was worth it to move to the one place he firmly noped. I was ready to hear the no because I knew he had gotten excited about us moving to Los Angeles. Before I was promoted, we speculated that Los Angeles might be the future for us. In early January, the wildfires gave us a different perspective. But audience, I have to add to the ending of this story in light of the aftermath of the Central Texas floods. Storm trauma is real, and the devastation in what is now about to be my home is haunting. I was supposed to go out to the distillery in Blanco on July 5th, but instead, I drove straight home to snug the dog. I'm real sad about all of it, but I'll spare y'all any details because, well, I don't think I need to illustrate what the damage of a bad storm looks like to a room full of Trustonians. The storm also makes me very aware that being able to move at all, to pursue a career choice, to not have to start from scratch or call FEMA during this version of America, I'm grateful to be able to pursue a personal reason to move somewhere. And I figure being a supplier of liquor in a city full of politicians might make for some fun stories. I'll do my best to report back regularly. I don't want to end on a goodbye because this grown-up story time is my number 2 reason for driving 2.5 hours in the middle of the week. I've also seen quite a few Trustonians, tonight's host included, who swing back through at all the right times so that it's not too long to miss them before they return. So, see you soon, maybe. It's hard to tell people you love that you want to leave, but the tension of speculating about a future absence feels like I'm not showing up in the present the way I would like to be. Time to do a little growing up somewhere else. There's a part of me that did not want this story to be read before we'd actually moved to the house in Austin, the place, because the likelihood of curses being real is unfortunately very high in my reality. So, if you will indulge me, I'd like to leave on my favorite lyrics from a drinking song, and if you know the words, then perhaps some light chanting might break the improbabilities of not leaving. Here's a health to the company and one to my lass. Let us drink and be merry, all out of one glass. Let us drink and be merry, all grief do refrain, for we may or might never all meet here again. Cheers, Houston. I love you.
Keep it up for Kirsten. Keep it on. God knows how to just go right straight through your heart, doesn't it? You know what? Yeah, I mean, Blair and Austin did tell me they were going to move to Los Angeles and come hang out with me. And when I found out they were moving to Austin, the place, I'm not going to lie, I was jealous of Austin, the place. I was like, you don't know what you're going to get. You don't know what you're going to get. So let's do one of these one more time. From one Trustonian to another, I hope you have a damn good time. And for the rest of you Trustonians, this night here, this part of the night is over. But next door, we're going to be horny tonking. There's country music. And we're going to be honking and we're going to be tonking. We're going to be rooting. We're going to be tooting. And above all, we're going to be kind. So why don't you come join us? Because, I don't get around here a lot no more. And I like to see y'all. So, y'all have a great night.